to Whitby Public Library's From Book to Table Kids Edition. Today we are going to be making nuts and bolts, and that is a snack mix, because aren't snacks the best part of the day? I know I am definitely a person who enjoys munching throughout the day, and this recipe is great because it makes a lot. And I mean a lot. It makes 31 cups of snacks, so like win, right? One thing I would definitely suggest if you like this recipe is there was an amazing cookbook that we have in our library called 20 Best Snack Mix Recipes by Betty Crocker. It's actually on Hoopla, which means it is a digital book. It has a ton of recipes. I mean, it has 20 recipes, but it has cheesy recipes, it has sweet recipes, it's got one that are covered with chocolate, it's got ones that are healthier, like with dried fruit in them. Very much recommend you check this out. It has a bunch of great things that I can't wait to try. And if you also like snack recipes, you can always find ones in cookbooks that are found at the library, such as Snack Attack or Salty Snacks. So, now that I've told you what we're going to be making, which is nuts and bolts, let's get started. The first thing we're going to be using in this recipe is butter. So I've got my stick of butter right here, and we need a cup and a half. And the great thing about these particular types of butter is they actually have a little ruler on them, and it tells you how much a cup and how much half a cup is. So I am going to take a knife and I am just going to actually cut a cup and a half worth of butter right off the stick here. And this is something that you might want a grown-up's help with, so always check in with a grown-up before you use a knife. This is cold butter. You can use it heated up, but we are going to be melting it, so I just took it right out of the fridge. And I'm going to open it up. If I can get it open. It's so cold, it's the wrapper sticking to it. And I'm gonna pop it in this measuring cup. And the reason it's in this measuring cup is just because, as I said, we're gonna be popping it in the microwave so it can melt. So now that it's in this measuring cup, let's go heat it up. Okay, so now that we're in the kitchen, we're just gonna pop our butter in the microwave so it will warm up. So I'm just gonna put it on at about 40 seconds at a time until it's melted. So it's been in for about a minute and a half now, and you can see it's partially melted, but it does still have some solid parts to it. So I'm just gonna give it a quick stir to help it integrate a little bit more. Okay, and now that I've given it a little stir, I'm just gonna pop it back in. Okay, so now that our butter is all melted, we're gonna take it out, and you'll see it's mostly a liquid now, which is exactly what we want. We don't need it to be warm, we just need it to be melted. The other thing we're going to do while we're in the kitchen is we're actually going to preheat the oven. So what that means is I'm going to be turning the oven on so it warms up to the temperature that I want it at. And that temperature is 250 degrees. Once we have melted our butter, we are going to add 2 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce. Mix it in well. Next, we add in our spices, 2 teaspoons of celery salt, garlic salt, and seasoned salt each. Then we set this aside. Next comes adding in all of our yummy snack mix stuff. This particular batch has a box of Cheerios, that's 12 cups, 3 cups of Pretzels, 7 cups of Crispix, and 9 cups of Chex. You could also use Shreddies or any other type of square unsugared cereal. All of that comes together to make 31 cups. But please, you can feel free to play around with the proportions based off of what you have in your house and what you like. If you like nuts, put in nuts. If you are gluten intolerant, take out the pretzels and the Cheerios, as long as at the end you have 31 cups. Once you have all your cereal, pretzels, and maybe nuts in the roasting pan, give them a quick mix together. Just a quick one. Next, you slowly add the butter mixture over the top of your cereal. I do this a tablespoon at a time, one drizzle at a time. We want every single piece of cereal to be coated in buttery, salty goodness, and the best way to do this is to go slowly, making sure that you stir your cereal frequently. As you add in the butter mixture, you will notice that the spices naturally settle towards the bottom of the mixture. Don't worry, this just means you have to give it a quick stir every now and then to make sure that the spices get mixed evenly throughout the cereal. If you like to cook or are thinking about learning to cook, I would definitely check out our collection of cookbooks at the Whitby Public Library. There are so many different types of cookbooks that I'm sure you'll find one that would interest you. I challenge you to find a cookbook in our collection that has something you would love to make and eat. There is a link in the description box that will take you right to our selection of kids' cookbooks. You also want to make sure you get some down to the very bottom. After you've sprinkled all of your butter and spice mixture over the cereal, give it one last stir and it's ready for the oven. Always make sure to check with your grown-up before using or touching the oven. Our nuts and bolts go into the oven for 2 hours at a low temperature of 250 degrees Fahrenheit. Every 30 minutes, we're going to take out our mixture, give it a quick stir and put it back in, and as always, we're checking with our grown-ups before we use the oven. Once you have your delicious homemade nuts and bolts out of the oven and cooled, there are several ways that you can still customize them and make them extra delicious for you. Although plain is a perfectly valid and delicious option, you can always add in raisins. If raisins aren't your favorite, you can choose all sorts of different dried fruit. I have dried bananas at my house, but you can use whatever tickles your fancy. If, like myself, you have people in your house who like nuts when you don't, you can always add nuts in afterwards. Or, my personal favorite, something chocolate. Make sure to store your nuts and bolts in an airtight container. Thanks for watching! I hope this inspires you to try to make your own delicious snacks from home. Follow us on social media or visit us at whitbylibrary.ca to discover more of our online programs and digital collections, or to share something that you have made from WPL materials.